my family lives in England, and Duncan is the only one who lives in America on this side in Atlanta. And he's my older brother, and if Duncan can stand up. I arrived at Barnes & Noble tonight, and I was talking to a few people, and suddenly Duncan appears out of the corner of my eye. I couldn't believe it. I almost fell down. So Duncan, thank you so much indeed for coming this way. James and Dan, thank you also. All of you are very, very special. Thank you very much indeed for being here. Wallace, why don't we come and talk? We want to tell you a bit about how this book came into being. Okay, we want to tell you how we met and why it started. We don't want to give you any of the juicy parts of the book, really. We want you to read the book and find out those juicy parts. But trust me, there are. I met Wallace in 2014, wasn't it? Yeah, in 2014, through a mutual friend of ours, a man called Jay Stanker, who I'm not sure if he's here tonight, Jay. Jay! This book would not be possible if it were not for Jay Stanker, because if he hadn't introduced Wallace to myself, then, as I say, this wouldn't have happened. I provided the Churchill side of things, and you provided the theology, didn't you? And the culture, yes, you did. Yeah. Wallace has over 30 years' experience in theology. And when you're writing a book, God and Churchill, you really don't want to fall down on expertise. So you need to make sure that you have the expertise in both areas. And I knew I had the expertise when it came to Churchill, but when it came to theology, sadly, I was so far away from God, there was absolutely no way. I maintained in 2010, I was really angry because in 2005, I started as a public speaker. And people kept telling me, you need a book. You have to have a book. And someone said to me, you know, just throw any book out on your great-grandfather onto the market. I'm sure that a publisher will pick it up and that will be fine, and then you'll have plenty of speaking engagements. But I felt it would be a great insult to Churchill to do that after the amazing work that he had done. And so I didn't want to do it. And in 2010, totally exasperated and really angry, I looked up to heaven and I shouted at God. And I said, Lord, you tell me, Lord, what is the one aspect of my great-grandfather's life that has never been written about? I didn't expect an answer. 5 minutes later, I found myself thumbing through my early life, which was written by my great-grandfather in the 30s. And obviously it was about his early life. And I found, the first instance I found was the Battle of Omdurman, where he survived and really shouldn't have been able to survive. I then just randomly turned to another chapter. It happened to be his escape from the Boers in South Africa. And I thought, okay, there's possibly something in this. There might be, there might not be, whatever. Anyway, I then picked up a random biography on Churchill, flipped the page yet again, and it was World War I. Another time that Churchill should have been killed. And so suddenly I realized there's something in this. There has to be something more to the story. Little did I know that 4 years later, I was going to meet the man who would be my co-author. Little did I know that some 50 years ago, in Nixon's White House, this man thought exactly the same thing that I had thought. And I'm going to pass this over to you, and I'm going to ask you to say a few words.
Well, first of all, thank you very much. First of all, I am in awe of being in the presence of history right here. James Humes is history. He's seen a lot of it. By the way, you're 3 presidents ahead of me in writing. I only wrote for 1, and he had to resign. So there must be some kind of connection there. He was your favorite president, Dick. I'm glad. But thank you all. I join Jonathan in thanking you for being here tonight. In 1971, 3 years before Jonathan was born, we're an odd couple. He's 40. I'll be 74 in just a few weeks. Yeah, in 1971, I made my first trip to Britain, first of many, many trips. And my wife and I, in fact, my wife is here, and would you stand here and little finger wave?
I didn't introduce my wife, and I shouldn't have introduced Sarah. Really,
there's my daughter, and there's my grandchildren. I want to thank the little people. At any rate, in 1971, I made my first trip to Great Britain. And as I was standing, peering into Buckingham Palace through the iron grating, I just kept hearing over and over again, there's something more here than meets the eye. There's something more here than meets the eye. And during the time I was in the White House, I was only 29, 30, 31, 32. I was just overwhelmed with the enormity of leading a nation, watching power unfold and operate as you have done many, many times. And I began to think about Churchill. I was born exactly 2 days before Pearl Harbor. I was born December the 5th, 1941. So my early radio listening years were filled with the voice and the words that you heard just a few moments ago. Churchill was a big figure in my life as a child, as a youth, as I grew up. And so I was very, very impacted as I now joined all this together in the White House with what must have been on his shoulders throughout the Second World War. So when Jonathan asked me to write this book with him, I thought immediately of a phrase from Churchill himself when he became Prime Minister, when he said, I felt as if all of my life were a preparation for this moment. And in some ways, Jonathan, when you asked me to co-author this book with you, I felt the same way. That I had been prepared over a long period of time with my fascination. I already had a Churchill room in my house. And Jonathan asks me to do this. It was like God kind of drew us together in a wonderful, miraculous way. I told a dear friend of mine, he said, what book are you working on now? And I said, I'm working on a book called God and Churchill. He said, it's going to be a short book. Well, it turned out to be longer than he thought. We have more than 500 footnotes in here. I hope you enjoy reading it. Thank you so much for being with us tonight.
Thank you. We're going to now sign some books. If you'd like to buy some books, I can assure you it is a very good book, even if I say so myself. But yeah, we're going to sign a few books for you. And thank you once again, all of you, for coming. God bless you.